Hi, this is Ajanta ma'am. Please subscribe my channel. Hit the bell icon for an in-depth analysis into your curriculum, short stories, poems, as well as Shakespeare. Now to go back to what I have planned for today, I shall be doing this short story, An Angel in Disguise, by the author T.S. Arthur. The story begins with very important lines, that is, idleness, vice and intemperance had done their miserable work, and the dead mother lay cold and still amid her wretched children. Now, idleness, intemperance, vice and intemperance is what the author describes. Idleness means a state of doing nothing, when a person does not do anything. Vice means something that is immoral in you, and intemperance means excessive indulgence in alcohol. So after the idle woman dies in a fit of drunkenness in front of her 3 terrified little children, villagers find it necessary to give her a funeral. Why? Since death is the ultimate punishment for the wicked, so the villagers thought that the woman had suffered enough in her lifetime, and it was mandatory to give her a proper send-off. They all gather around in her broken little house, trying to contemplate as to what they should do about the 3 children. This is the basic plot of the story, and it develops from here. After the death of this woman who had fallen over upon her threshold of her own door in a drunken fit and died in the presence of her frightened little ones, the author writes, death touches the spring of our common humanity. Now, by this, the author means that the phrase death touches the spring of a common humanity means here death and spring are the 2 contradictory words. Spring is rejuvenation, and death means something that is ending. So here the author has used an oxymoron, opposites. So he has used an oxymoron to convey the point that the woman was hated. She was scoffed at by everyone, insulted by everyone, but her death brings upon feelings of pity amongst the villagers. So they decide to give her a proper send-off. Throughout her lifetime, this woman had been insulted, scoffed at, because she never looked after her children. She always was in a drunken state, and she died in that state. So this woman had been despised, scoffed at, angrily denounced by nearly every man and woman and child in the village. But now, as the fact of her death was passed from lip to lip in subdued tones, pity took the place of anger. Means now that the woman was dead, they all thought that they would forgive her for all the things that she had done, and they would give her a proper burial. This tumble down hut, this broken little home that she had, her hut was tumbled down, in which she had secured little more than a place of shelter from the summer heat and the winter cold, some with grave clothes for the decent intermittent of the body. Intermittent means the burial. So they were coming in, some with clothes and some with food for the children who had seen their mother died in a fit of drunkenness. So they all tried to do whatever they could. They decided to give her a burial, but what would happen to these three children who stood in front of them? What were they to do with these three children? They could not leave them all alone in this tumble down hut. So one of the farmers from the village chose to adopt the eldest son, who was 12 years old at that time, because the farmer thought that the boy would be of use to him in the field. So he took him. So he took him with him. He takes him home as one of his own. And next was this young girl, Kate, gets adopted by Mrs. Ellie. She adopts this girl, Alice rather, she adopts this girl, although she does so with great reluctance, as Kate was still much too young to be able to work in any factory and earn money. So Mrs. Ellis, who was looking for a bound girl, for a slave girl, she chose Katie or Kate, even though she would be of no use for several years. Mrs. Ellis even said that this girl was an indisciplined girl, and she was used to having her own way, and therefore it would be difficult for her to manage her. So Mrs. Ellis took up this girl quite reluctantly. The only one who was left behind was this little girl called Maggie. No one said amongst the villagers that they would take up Maggie. They would adopt Maggie and take her home.